But no one puts a new patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch pulls away from the garment, and a worse tear results. He's saying you're trying to take, the Bible talks about that a Christian would take out of his store old and new. And the Bible does say, behold, I bring something new in the prophets. But no one puts a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, a new patch on an old garment. It has to be washed for it to be shrunk. For the patch pulls away from the garment, and a worse tear results. Nor do they put new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise the wineskins burst, and the wine pours out, and the wineskins are ruined. So you can't take Jesus and attach him to the law, which I've seen people do. They say, let's take the law and make, let's fit in. It's even worse than that. Let's say we're following the law, and yet when they're not. And keep this form when they're still sinning. Paul was legalistically righteous according to the law, but that's not how people work. That's not how people live. Paul was an exception. The patch pulls away from the garment, and a worse tear results. So it makes it worse when you try to take Jesus and put him on to the synagogue stuff I just showed over there. Nor do they put new wine into old wineskins, otherwise the wineskins burst, and the wine pours out, and the wineskins are ruined. So the wine pours out, it's on the floor or wherever. It's on the ground or on the floor. The wine pours out, and the wineskins are ruined. It doesn't do any good for the wine, and it doesn't do any good for the wineskins. It doesn't do any good for the tear, and it doesn't help the patch. And a worse tear results. Nor do they put new wine into old wineskins, otherwise the wineskins burst, and the wine pours out, and the wineskins are ruined. You don't want to ruin the wineskins, do you? But they put new wine into fresh wineskins. And they could not separate the fact that Jesus was teaching something that did not accord with, the terrible religious situation that the Jews were finding themselves in. They had nothing to say to Jesus because they couldn't answer him. And they didn't want to listen to him. They wanted to kill him. But they put new wine into fresh wineskins, and both are preserved. So when people go back to the synagogue format in special holy days such as Sunday, which is never mentioned as a holy day in the New Testament, or the Old Testament for that matter. In fact, Paul said all days were supposed to be the same. When you go back to the synagogue style, the basilica style churches where, they'd have, like the Parthenon to worship their gods, and you copy them and say, well, it's traditional. And Jesus said, behold, or, God said, behold, I make something new. And it's new wine, and it has to be new wineskins. Don't try to contain something an effort to keep the law. Not that you shouldn't keep the law, but Jesus provides new wine for new wineskins. That is why when people go to churches and says the heart is deceitful above all things, you think you're tricked by something? It's nowhere compared to the heart. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Jesus said there's a wide gate and there's a narrow gate. And if everybody goes to church, then that's the broad gate. And they get together and they do what is corrupt on a Sunday morning. I've seen it again and again. I've gone to church for most of my life. And it's the same thing you have at work with the bickering and the fighting. It's just in a religious setting. Nobody learns anything new. And they hurt one another. New wine belongs in new wineskins. So in those who do not have new birth, but have the old birth, they're not able to contain the wine because the wine is new. God bless.